Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another episode of Lack of Focus, the 2018 live Christmas special. Woo! I am your host, Ed Horn, and alongside me tonight, my partner in crime and gaming, one Mr. Chad Brown.
Hey, everybody.
Sean Dorsey joining us once again. Thank you, Sean, for joining us. How are you, my friend?
Oh, alive. We'll just put it that way.
Alive is always a good start. And our producer extraordinaire, one Mr. Chris Sheriff. Chris, how's it going, my friend?
Producer extraordinaire. Yes.
We won't go into that one. You guys are all looking festive today for the 2018 Christmas special. So we've got a couple of things we want to go over. We are trying to do this live on Facebook thing, so we'll kind of have some interaction with the fans as we're doing this on Facebook Live. We've got some games played, a couple of things in the news, but nothing super big. And we're going to do a little bit of year in review for the show. So all of that and a lot more coming up right after this. All right, we're back, and in the flight deck, we're going to cover over the squads we've been flying, the things we've been doing lately, any events we've attended. I will cut everyone off early, of course, as we were recording this a week after the last show. I didn't get any games played, so surprise, surprise, I didn't get a chance to play any X-Wing. I did have time I wanted to, but it just didn't happen, life and all of that. So, however, Chad, you did get games in.
Yes,
the benefits of a re-record, I suppose. You got games in for us.
Yeah,
so,
I felt like you stole my thunder. I'm making fun of you for not playing games.
By all
I
means,
caught that.
please.
We're going to cut people off. He meant me.
That would have been it, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of cut off, I did donate 13 inches of hair.
Look at that.
Oh.
Look at that. It's all short.
Oh,
It's
without,
I'm going to make this. I'm
without
sorry,
a
go ahead.
bandana.
Yeah.
See,
I
now you can get true bedhead.
Yeah. I can actually get it's short enough to actually go weird. Whereas before I had so much hair that, it was just too long. And
So thought for donating 13 inches from the front, for those guys that want the ZZ Top beards and can't have them?
No, you're going to have to grow a real beard on your own, Ed.
All right, so you did get some games in, obviously, yesterday. Why don't you kind of talk about what games you played and what you ran?
So basically, I was practicing the hyperspace list. I had Pure Sabak with shield upgrade outmaneuver. I had Vader with cluster missile, instinctive aim, and fire control system. And I had Vermeil with shield upgrade and outmaneuver also. And I had put Kenrick on him, and I forgot, and I thought I had ISB Slicer on him. So the whole game I played with the wrong crew.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
I didn't use ISB Slicer once. I actually didn't even... I jammed once. I tried to jam once, and I didn't even get it off in the one game I played. And then that was the only game I actually was able to even try and jam. But no, I
because
played...
they did change the range on that. We learned that in
it's
our
not
game.
range 1 everywhere. Not just range 1 out, your non-firing arc. So, and jam tokens go away at the end of the turn, which is why I was thinking about the ISB Slicer. But like I said, the game played in a way to where I wasn't within range, 1 of people, and it just didn't get jamming off. So I'm definitely going to switch to Krennic on that and just go with him. Played a couple games at the local game store. The one guy who's been running some things, played him. He had 2 fire sprays.
Was Devin playing Hyperspace, by the way, or was he just playing whatever he wanted? Like, he's playing Extended?
I think he was playing Hyperspace.
Oh, good.
Because he had Boba Fett and... Oh, what's the other named one? Not Kath. Is it Eton or...
Is it the Mad Bomber?
Yeah, the bomber one, yeah.
Yeah.
He was running those 2.
Iman Azamin.
Iman, that's what it is, Iman. I took out Boba Fett. I almost took out Iman. It was a good game. I took out Pure Sabak rather quickly, then took out Vader, and then finished off the Vermeil. I did get a couple games in against the Evil Genius. My son made it out. So
good. Happy to see he's playing.
Yeah, he wants to get back into it. Wants to go up to the game store a little bit more often, get some games in. You know, I mean, somebody else should look into doing that, but
I'm trying.
see, I don't even have to say his name. He just knows automatically. I'm talking about him. He was running an interesting list. He had Wedge, Thane, and Dutch.
Oh, interesting.
And let me just tell
XXY.
you, let me just tell you that Wedge without maneuver is really gross.
Yeah, it's pretty filthy.
He's got Dutch where he's making 2 attacks every round. That's gross.
Did he have a gunner on there? Is that why? Or
yeah, is it the Han or the Chewie gunner? I think it's Han.
oh, nice.
So yeah, with the gunner he's got on there, it's like he gets to make an attack, and after he makes a specific attack, he gets to make a secondary attack. I think he fires with a turret, and then he gets to fire a torpedo, or it's torpedo then turret with Han. I can't remember exactly how that went, but the one game came down to he beat me with 1 hull left on. I think it was Dutch had 1 hull left, so that was kind of interesting. And the other game we played, he fairly beat me easily on that one. So, but I was getting some practice in. My list was doing a lot better than what I thought it was going to, because like I said, with the one game I played against Evan and the one game I played against him, they were fairly close games, and I made one wrong turn in the game against Evan, and that's what ended up costing me the game. Was I knew he was going to drop a bomb, a seismic charge, and he was going to destroy a rock. I just didn't know which direction he was going to drop it and everything.
Oh, he has the same problem whenever I play you. I never know which way you're going to go.
Yeah. Well, it was a 50-50 shot, and it was like, do I go left or do I go right? Because I was slooping afterwards. So it was like, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sloop, and I unfortunately guessed the wrong direction, which is the way he was looking to drop it. And
you zigged when you should have zagged.
Yeah, so
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it was a 50-50 guessing game on it, and I guessed the wrong one. But otherwise, like I said, I mean, they were very close games. I like the list.
And you've been running that list for a while, basically. I mean, you've made some modifications here and there, too, but for the same part, the core of it's been basically the same.
Vader and Vermeil, yes. Since the hyperspace update came out, I was able to add Pierre Sabak, who is somebody I ran a lot back in first edition and, in the extended part of second edition before hyperspace was, said to be a thing. They're all ships I like. I like the maneuverability of the Reaper and the Striker. Vader, I mean, if you're going to play Empire and you don't have Vader in the list, I don't understand what's going on. He's, a great target priority for other people, so your other ships can do stuff. If they're focusing on your other ships, then he's got the ability to do so much damage himself. It's like, as of hyperspace as of right now, it's like he's an auto include. So
yeah, I almost agree. I pretty much agree with that statement, especially from the Imperial side.
Yeah.
All right, do you have anything else, or can we move on to Sean?
Ed needs to play more games. He needs to get out more often. And How about you, Sean?
Oh, I actually got a game in. Got a game in with my son. I played 3 fire sprays. Very, I flew well. Rolled, like a champion Chris Sheriff. So,
is that a sideways compliment?
Yes. I think in the whole game I saw 3 or 4 total sides of paint that actually mattered. I had a lot of target locks that rolled a lot of blanks, so I'm not bitching about the dice here. My goal was to learn the medium base with the fire sprays because, as I've stated earlier, it's fire sprays I think will be adequate for me at this point. Now that they have 1 turns and a smaller turn radius, I basically what I was trying to do is just prove for me prove the proof of concept, and it works well. I didn't win, of course. My son played X-wings and pretty much blew me off the map after about 4 rounds, but I'm okay with that. It's I flew well. I mean, it lasted longer than 4, but it wasn't really much of a game. But I really like the fire sprays. I think that 3 fire sprays could be competitive if you can, if you can modify your dice better than I did, it would have been better. So good.
You ran them naked though, right? They're basically
Yes.
just 3 naked. Yeah.
Yeah, they're 3 naked fire sprays, right? Yeah, you can't really fit much on them at that point, and but what you have to look at though is you're throwing a lot of dice. You have 2 built-in arcs on each one, so you're 9 times out of 10 you should be shooting 2 at something every turn if you play it right. And the front and rear arcs, and a lot of people forget about that rear arc too. My son did on the first turn. I had a range 1 rear arc shot that with target lock that rolled. What did it roll? It rolled 2 focus and a blank. On the re-roll, it rolled either, I can't remember if that was the 3 focus one that I had no focus for, or if that was the 3 blank one. But it was, setting it up is pretty cool, and being able to do a lot of damage with them because it gives you options. You can fly past them and still do things. You have a really short turn radius. Built-in actions are good, so I enjoy them. That's probably, like I said, what I'll start out with when I start playing again in about 9 months now.
Once you're all healed up.
Yep, exactly. So that's pretty much my flight deck for this episode.
Oh, just looking at it, Sean, have you considered doing 2 fire sprays and then the Initiative 1 Scum Falcon? Because that leaves you a decent chunk of points for some upgrades.
I have, but I'm starting slow, and then I'll work into other stuff. So my deal for me is just, and you guys know me well with this, is I have to learn to fly the thing before I can really start screwing it up. But yeah, no, I've looked at that. I've looked at a couple other things too. I've also looked at the power list, with Boba and something else, or Boba and Fenn. The problem for me is Fenn. I can't fly Fenn very well because he doesn't have 1 straight.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, that leaves it up to you. I know you've played a lot more than we have lately. So what have you been doing lately?
Well, I played 2 games when we originally recorded, and then I played 2 games Friday, because we're fixing my mistake now. So I've got 4 games I can talk about. That's fine. I'm pretty sure when everyone changes clothes after I finish talking, magically, people will notice.
Ooh, it's the magic of Christmas, Chris. That's what's going on.
So
Change my hat.
So the original games I played were playing against Bill, who was he's not new to a game, he's new to 2nd edition, coming back, trying it out. And the only list I had with me at the time was my Super Kylo list.
Did you have to put a baby seal hat on before you played him?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
So he was running Luke, Wedge, and 2 Y-Wings.
That's actually not bad. I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. He couldn't get tops on both Luke and Wedge, and it was heightened perception Luke to keep the points down to give you these 2 bombing Y-Wings. And I had Supernatural Kylo, Quick Draw with Fanatical Fire Control System, and Null with Fanatical. And I didn't dance around as much as Kylo could, but I was just we were just playing a fun game. Bill was really good fun to play against, and we always have fun games. And it wasn't as difficult as it could have been, but we went through and getting used to flipping the servo motor S-foils and stuff for when you can do his actions and stuff. So we had lots of takes you backs. He's like, well, if you do this, and do it this way around, you can still get out of his arc even with the move. Like, we didn't change any of the moves he'd dialed in, but like we spoke about it a lot and like figured it out. It was a pretty good fun game. Bill really enjoyed it, which is why we played again yesterday, or Friday. And that time I turned up with a list I had brought just to play Bill. So it wasn't quite as bad. I ran
a little bit more toned down, you mean?
Well, it was still good. I actually liked this. It was Vader with hate and fire control system. And then Duchess with nothing, Pure Sabak with nothing, and Wampa with nothing.
Oh, whole bunch of naked ships out there with Vader as the primary.
No, it's Vader as the Chris is terrible at the game, and I'd set up to bait. He was running a medium-sized Rey and Poe, like Super Poe, and he had up the 1 point bid. I was at 200 points, so he screwed me over and made me move Vader first. But hey ho,
that's always fun.
Yeah, and I set up. I had Vader and Wampa on one flank, and then the strikers kind of in the middle where we could go where I needed them. And I was like, okay, I've planned out all my moves. I can do this. I planned my 2 moves with the 2 strikers, and then the normal moves with these ships. And I did some funky positioning. I was like, and then all I need to do is my barrel roll with Wampa, back to front, and it'll be fine. And then Vader fits with his bank. And then I went to barrel roll and was like, you don't do back to front barrel rolls anymore. So Vader bumped right in front of Rey and Poe had his target lock on me and like fired torpedo. I'm like, oh, okay. This did not go to plan. So Vader goes instantly down to 1 hit point. And is like, oh, well, at least I'm fully recharged on Force because, hey, it's fun.
Yay!
Yeah. So I played stupendous with bad. I did put a massive amount of damage onto Rey because I'd lined up all the shots, and I would have been out of Rey's arc and sat right in front of Poe, which would have probably made him reposition Poe rather than trade range 1 shots with Vader, had I not bumped. But I just sat me in Rey's arc, but because it costs Force charges to do her ability now, it's nowhere near as powerful or as obnoxious as she was in first edition. Because he had the Rey, Rose, and Finn combo. Well, yeah. So basically, the first attack from Vader, he just ignored 2 hits. It's like, okay, I rolled a blank, I add a blank, I'll spend my Force charges to change them both to evades, and Vader does no damage. I was like, good. Then he shot at Vader. So Wampa got the 4 dice range 1 shot, and then I Pure Sabak got the range 2 for 4 dice shot, and Duchess got a range 3 shot. And it was just like, yeah, there you go, take some damage. So I basically ended up trading Vader for Rey, and he killed Wampa, but I had both my strikers hunt down Poe. And it was good fun. Really fun list. I definitely think it's got a bit more play. I'd like to have points for other stuff. I think I had afterburners on Vader as well, which is why I didn't have a bid. But I don't know
gotcha.
that Vader really needs a bid, because he already out PS's Supernatural Kylo, so the bid's not relevant there. And I don't really care about Poe or... Yeah, you can do it a couple of times, but after that...
Yeah, he's all spent, and then he's just a regular 270 after that.
Yeah, as long as you're making him do it defensively, and he's not, like, spinning around and catching you with your pants down type thing, it's not too bad. So yeah, I feel like that's one of the squads where I will go all the way to my 200 and get as many toys as I can. So that was good. Then I played a real game with... No, I played 2 games with the Red Line. Yeah, no. 1 game with Red Line, Whisper, and Sunia fell.
I was going to say,
how can I forget Sunia? Oh, I'm so bad.
How can you? The Baron himself.
Yeah, so I'm not running it full bid for my red line, but it is red line with advanced sensors and proton torpedoes, so relatively slim. Sunia with Predator, Whisper with collision detector, Vader, and Duke. And I played against the same list, but he'd got a fat red line and didn't have a bid. So I moved last and tag locked his red line with mine and blew it up.
And that was basically the game.
Nice.
But I lost my Sunia and his and had to chase his with red line and Whisper. And he did really well avoiding it, but he had to fly defensively. I just kept the pressure on so he couldn't start trying to position to finish off Redline. I think if he'd have got Redline down and then half points on Whisper, he would have won if he'd have kept his Sunia alive. But I just made sure that if he wanted to shoot me, he was taking 2 shots back and getting invaded. So he had to keep running every time. And it was pretty interesting. He did really well. He got a couple of positions that he didn't, and I didn't expect him to take, and I got him with like, I will remain cloaked, and then I'll just use Vader this turn. So he'd drop somewhere, and it's like, oh, I didn't think you were going to be there because you'd had to decloak, and it's like, now I can Vader it off your focus token, so you have no defenses against Redline's torpedo if you stay there. If you don't kill Redline, he's going to torpedo you. So then he bugs out, and it was just like that, rinse and repeat. So we were both mind gaming each other, but it was a long. I think we went to time, and he had
do you time pickup games like that? I'm just always curious.
Time every game, yeah.
I feel like I should start doing that because Chad and I tend to run long when we do ours, but it will kind of get you prepped for going to like a local tournament or some of the hyperspace events. It's just I'm sorry, you mentioned it's a good curious question, like how many people actually time their games when they're doing it. I think you should. I agree with that.
We try at the game store every so often, but more importantly, Ed, you need to try and play games first.
Well, as well as like practice for events and stuff like that, I definitely feel like when you've got a group of people all playing X-Wing together, if there's odd numbers, if you don't time your game, it's just rude. Because then there's someone sat around waiting for a game to finish, and it's like, oh yeah, well, my Sunia on one hull is chasing your Sunia on one hull, and we're both out dodging each other, this is awesome, and everyone's like, just finish with the table so other people can play. And it's not a concern for the Sentry Box, because we've got like 1 trillion tables and mats and stuff, but if you've only got like 2 tables, I think it's just rude if you don't play timed games.
I think too in leagues it's better to do it too because stores have closing times.
Yeah,
and you can exactly. If you want to play 3 games and then if you start at 6, store closes at 10, you want to play 3 games, you're probably even paring time down a bit from the 75 to 60 or something.
So I'm sure Mark won't mind me calling him out, but I'm sure I've spoken about him in the past. He's a guy who's really good with Guri, and he runs like a super fat Guri. And but he'll take like 10 minutes to set Guri's dial, thinking about all of the connotations and advanced sensors and where is Virago after a move at the end phase will take him. And playing an untimed game, he'll win with that Guri because she's worth a crap ton of points with the bid as well. And then it's fine. But then you put him in a game and he plays like 5 turns, doesn't kill enough stuff with her, and like loses the support. And yeah, if you're not playing in that environment, it's pointless practice. So, and it's not to say that there's anything wrong with playing untimed games. You just have to know that it is a different game.
Yeah, agreed. There's no such thing as playing to win for the time.
Yeah.
All right, is that everything you got?
So I did have one other game where so it was a league game, and I asked him what list he wanted to play against from like Imperial, Scum, and First Order. He picked my Imperial list, then complained that, I was running a hyperspace list. I went, well, it's an extended league, but I wanted it to be a hyperspace league and was told no. So he didn't want to play against Redline, Whisper, and Sunia, which I thoroughly understood.
Yeah, no,
So I was
totally
like,
understand.
okay. So I handed him the other two lists, which were both extended, and he picked to play against the Scum one, which was Boba Fett with Marauder and Handgunner, Fenrir with Fearlessness and Proton Torpedo, and then Lando with Tactical Officer, whichever one gives you a white coordinate. And
I think that's correct, tactical officer.
yeah, and I think it's got a 5-point bid as well. And he was running Blackout, test pilot Blackout, then Quick Draw and Backdraft. He had weird upgrade. Only one of them, I think only Quick Draw had Special Forces Gunner. Backdraft was just relying on getting the extra die, shooting out the bum anyway. Blackout had Trick Shot, obviously, to try and maximize shooting through obstacles. It was interesting, but as long as I don't give you your engagement that you want, I should be okay. So I started Bubba pointing in one corner, pointing across the table with Fen behind him. And then I hard turned Bubba, hard wand Bubba, hard wand Fen into a place where Bubba was, then barrel rolled, and then turned the other way and barrel rolled back. So I'm like almost in the exact same position. I'd done like a 1 forwards with Fen over 2 turns of movement, and
Nice.
because it was one of the things I thought we could talk about in the new year, but like starting to look at like playing the game and turn 0 and stuff like that. But because he had Blackout and Trick Shot, I was like, that could really, if Bubba's rolling two less dice, I'm only rolling 1 dice. Even if I've got someone at range 1 of me, it really hurts. And just getting alpha struck, something like that. So it's like, you're not having any rocks to play with. And he didn't get an obstructed shot in the entire game because I set up, all 3 that I controlled, I set up on his table edge. And I had no plan to like rush him. I wanted to fight on my side of the table. So like Lando started in the middle and like was the bait to drag him across into where my guns were going to be. And I got the engage I wanted. I put 4 damage, I think, onto Blackout for 3 shields on Bubba. And that was a decent enough trade for me because he got all of his shots on Bubba, but then it was going to fly past me. And I had Fen. My torpedo only did 1 damage as well. So
that's disappointing.
Yeah, stupid double modded Fen torpedo, only doing 1 shield. Then he did a funky barrel roll, which blocked Bubba in a position I wasn't expecting. I was like, that's fine, because Lando can still coordinate the focus onto Fen, because Fen then bumps into the back of Bubba. And having the coordinate is just cheating. I love it. It's like, oh, everything's going to go wrong. Save me, Lando. And he does. It went from
cool.
Fen sitting at range 1 and range 2 of 2 shots with no tokens to being like, I've got my focus token. So if you shoot me, you best do damage on the range 2 shot, because the range 1, I'm rolling 4 dice with Concordia. And again, had to explain how Concordia works and how Fen's ability works, because people just like, oh, you don't have me in arc. I don't need you in arc.
Right.
It's cheating. Just read the card in the most abusive cheating way you can, and that's how it works, because that's what it says.
RTFC.
Yeah. So you can shoot me at the bum and I don't get Concordia, but Fen's ability still triggers. And it's like, oh, I'm behind you now, so you won't get Concordia. Yeah, I will, because I'm in your arc, because you're shooting me with your front gun. That's why I went here.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I put my ship here in the first place.
I could be behind you at range 2 or in front of you at range 1. I'll take in front, please. Because it didn't have Special Forces Gunner. So it's a 3 dice attack out of the bag of Blackout, or a 3 dice attack at the front, where I get to change one of my dice to an evade and roll 4 of them. Seems easy.
X-Wing on easy mode right there.
But yeah, he went pretty hard on Lando, and it was like, oh, well, I was planning on shooting out the back, so I didn't really commit them. It's like, no, that's true. You did get, after you killed him, you got 1 extra shot into Bubba. Then I ran Bubba away, and you were completely out of position, so Fen started picking you apart. And so it did control my movement pretty well early, but I think it committed too hard later. So it was a bit weird. It felt like it was going to be a harder game than it was, and then Fen actually started killing everything. So
Yeah, Fen took over the game from that point.
Yeah.
And I even had time
That
to
happened.
break Bubba off and swing him back around and get him back into a fight. So tips from that game, things that I learned is that there's no point taking fearlessness if you forget to activate it every time. And
Good
apparently,
advice.
That's
I pay 3 points for Marauder to just be able to take Han Solo and never use it Marauder ability because I forgot about that every time as well.
oh jeez.
Marauder on Boba Fett is nasty. That's one of the things Evan had a combo going, and that's nasty.
Yeah. I used handgunner correctly, as in I triggered it twice in the game. Once in the opening engagement where I wanted my target lock focused attack, where I had reinforced target lock focus on Bubba. So I coordinate the reinforce, do the one straight to clear the red, take the target lock, and then handgunner, and everything's good. It's all fine. He shoots me, and I just rolled my I think it was range 2. It was just range 2. So it was my 3 dice target lock focused attack on Blackout and do a bit of damage. And then Friend's torpedo only did a bit of damage, but it was fine. It was all good.
It all worked out in the end.
I did feel mean though, because it was getting relatively late. It was like, oh, we can call it if you want. I was like, well, it's a league game. I'm not going to call the game here and stop. You can concede if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take it.
We're not going to call a game here and say, "Oh, look, I'm up by a point." Oh, yes, I'm happy I lost this game then. So I was like, okay, well, and I went through. You've got Fen on 1 hit point left. Where I left with, he got the crit where all hits were crits. I was like, I don't care. If you kill him, because Bubba's going to swing around and kill you anyway. And then he got 2 hits through at range 1 with the focus token. I was like, yeah, okay, that happens sometimes. I rolled a focus, and that was it on my 4 dice.
Oh.
So I still evaded 2, because I spent the focus and the and Concordia, but it's like, oh, yeah, okay, those are both crits now. I think it was no actions other than flipping damage cards or focus. And I was like, yeah, this is fine because you can't stop me shooting you anymore. So I just left them and blew them up. But that was, if that had been any double damage crit, it could have been a little bit hurrier. But that's why
that could have gotten a little scary there.
Yeah, it's like Fen's on 1 hit point. You only need to shoot him once, and I can't reposition him. So you don't know what move I'm going to dial in, but if you guess right, you can kill him. Yeah, and then I killed all of his ships 2 turns after that. So,
jeez. All right, so that's going to cover our games. A little piece of magic's going to happen now. We're going to roll into the news, and all of a sudden, we're all going to change clothes and different headgear and stuff. So,
except for Sean.
So we'll do a little wipe dissolve and woo.
Yeah. That's the flight deck split over 2 different live streams and multiple recording segments.
That is the downside to doing it without a safety. This is all right. So completely breaking the fourth wall on this one. As I'm driving home from work, Chris goes, "Hey, why don't we do this live on Facebook?" And I'm like, "That sounds like a great idea."
It's for Christmas. I thought this was the perfect celebration of the season of giving. Giving myself a hard time.
And it wouldn't be a flight deck if it didn't start over an hour ago.
You've listened to our show before, mate.
You have. All right, so we do have news to cover. The only thing that actually came out, which I'm on FFG's webpage right now, our buddy Wade Pichet posted this in the Nova Squadron page, of course, because he's responsible for OP. They did announce the Wave 4 kit, so we've got some cool alt art cards that came out. We're looking at Black Squadron Ace and Crackshot with some new art, full all the way to the edge kind of art, which is fantastic. Death Rain is in there. So it does make me interested to know. And the only reason I'm bringing this, Dead Man Switch is the other card that's in that one, but Death Rain obviously is not legal in hyperspace events, but they're still providing support.
So
for
yeah, the wave kit is extend. I think it does a quick build event, an extended, and a hyperspace. You get to do all of them. So.
Yeah, see, I tried to explain that to the person who's quote unquote running ours, and he's like, "No, every one of them's hyperspace." I'm like, "No, I don't think that's right."
He can make every one of them hyperspace, but the hyperspace event where you have to give out quick builds as your prizes, because that's all you have left, probably becomes a little bit redundant.
Yeah, I would agree. So, in any case, also Scourge is also in there. Munitions failsafe being the last one. I'm really, really blown away by the amount of material that's coming out of it. I get the idea of what they're doing, the different tiers. So the quick builds, the hyperspace, quote unquote, hyperspace builds, and then the extended builds. But I mean, this is a lot of stuff coming out of these. Remember whenever the old kits used to only come with 2 different alt art cards, maybe some plastic, maybe a little metal, and that was kind of it. That's all that came in them. They are FFG. I will give them props. They are going all out on their support for the community on these.
Well, I think one of the things you're seeing on these types of kit, though, is you're not seeing the plastic. So you're getting more cards instead of plastic. So you might as well, allow that to be, or give out, what people really want now, which would be the cards. If you really have all the plastic from 1.0, you really don't need more plastic.
Okay, so and I agree with that statement. My counter argument to that is I'm new to second edition. I've never played first edition.
Understood. I hate to say this though, but this is you missed it. If you weren't in first edition, you missed it.
Yeah.
There are multiple formats, remember? So this is the wave kit thing that we've spoiled, which has this stuff in it. Then I need to find FFG's site again now. The season kits still have the acrylic, the
metal.
Yeah, the metal tokens
the metal
in
tokens,
them.
Yeah.
This
the arcade tokens.
Yeah, this one comes. The season 1 kit anyway came with acrylic range rulers as well for the wave leader.
So, that's true. Okay, that's that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
It's split across different things. Obviously, the hyperspace cup stuff will still be in there as well. So there is all different kinds of prizes. It's just that in this specific one, you're only getting the card support, and that's because it's designed to do so many events that it's the easiest way of doing it.
Right. Ideally, you'd break that up over 3 weeks. You'd have your quick build ones in the first week, you'd have your hyperspace ones, and then you'd have your extended. Before I go too far, I do need to express my immense love for my friend Wade Fouché, because I didn't notice there was another card in this list that we did not talk about. He did Howlrunner for me in Wave 4 kit in the full art. It's beautiful. I now have to own this card.
Yeah, he did it just for you, I'm sure.
I'm sure I was the only contributing factor. He says, you know what card does Ed want? I know he mentioned he loved Howlrunner. I'm going to put that card in for him. I'm sure I was the primary thought process on that.
Your headband's on just a bit too tight.
Just a bit.
He also did munitions failsafe, so thanks, Wade.
Yeah. He's thinking of players like me, apparently.
Wait, Chad can't roll it. I'm sure we were all the primary concerns on that one.
Oh yeah.
Is this is different art than the X-Men 1.0, the first edition artwork too?
Yeah,
is it?
None of them have actual characterized people. It's all just different shots of the ships now.
Except for the Howlrunner card.
That's it.
There
isn't a picture. Oh yeah. I'll just lie. It's fine.
Well, because
that's
what I'm saying. Like, it's the first one. It's actually the full caricature of instead of it being an alternate art of the ship flying through space.
She dyed a her.
What's that?
Was she not a redhead in first edition?
No, she's always been a brunette. Howlrunner has always been a brunette.
Ah, well.
So yeah, no, it's fantastic artwork, and it's new artwork. So what they did with the first edition one is they borrowed the artwork from Armada and transposed it back into first edition X-Wing. This one here is different artwork. It's new artwork, and now I must own it.
It's alt art, isn't it?
Alt art cards. Absolutely. So no, again, this is a fantastic set. I'm really looking forward to getting some stuff in. This is part of, we'll get into this later in my New Year's resolutions, but I need to start getting out to more events because now I want that card. Anything else in news to cover? Because I mean, aside from, what's that?
I was going to say, do you know what we're 1 year away from?
What's that?
Oh yeah,
Episode
today.
9.
But we're a year away today.
Episode 9.
Oh, that's true.
Well, as of recording this, we are.
All right. So if we want to kind of go down the Star Wars movie route, I am sort of. You are correct. We are 1 year away from Episode 9. Principal filming is supposed to finish up in March, but you know there's going to be reshoots. We're actually supposed to see a trailer here soon. I've been seeing in the internet that we're going to be seeing. There were rumors all through Thanksgiving that they thought it was going to drop over Thanksgiving, which it did not. So apparently it has been seen. People have seen it. So there is a teaser trailer floating around out there, but it hasn't come out yet. The other exciting news that I'm looking forward to is that they announced that they are giving the developers of Game of Thrones, D.B. Weiss and David Bedinghoff, a full trilogy in a new series of Star Wars. So they have 3 movies that they've given the Game of Thrones developers. I'm super excited by that one. Now, what they're going to do, I don't know. I know what I'd love them to do, which is, Old Republic era. I've wanted to see that on film since I started reading the Last Jedi comic books back when I was a young tyke.
So Ed, do you, obviously on Facebook, do you see the Star Wars Champions ad on Facebook for that mobile game when you're scrolling down?
Yeah, every once in a while I do see that.
So there's a new character been released. It's Raven from the
Old Republic,
and that makes him canon now because he literally just been released.
That is true, because anything under the Disney license that falls under games, videos, comic books, any video games, anything like that, all fall into canon. Well, and they've kind of discussed it too. So, like, if you get the Art of Star Wars, Art of Episode 7 book, they talk about like Kylo Ren's lightsaber, for example, and how it's an old and ancient design, which is kind of harkening back to those times of the Old Republic, which is 9,000 years before A New Hope. It's just there's such a gap in time. When you look at the canon material, you're looking from Episode 1 until Episode 9, and then everything else kind of falls in between. Rebels falls in between there. All of the new TV shows, the Cassian Andor series that's going to come out, is going to be in there. The Mandalorian one, they're doing the Resistance. Everything falls in that time frame. Anything before that is just in Legends, and it's all the books that we all read when we were kids. So to kind of get an idea of what Disney's quote-unquote canon universe is going to look like in that time frame would be amazing. I know nothing. I would love to see that happen. For all I know, they're going to do 5,000 years in the future. But we do know that Episode 9 is going to end the Skywalker saga, which is going to be kind of sad. So I just hope that...
Wow.
I just hope that it's good.
So ready for that. I'm sorry.
Because they're not the only characters in the galaxy.
Exactly. Thank you.
They're not. So the one of the handful of things that I will give Rian Johnson credit for was, and I don't know if it's going to get retconned in J.J. Abrams' Episode 9, was that race parents were nobody. So what? She didn't have to be a Skywalker. She didn't have to be a Kenobi. She didn't have to be a Palpatine. She could have. There were other Force users and Jedis and Sith long before she came along, and there will be other Force users and Sith long after. They don't all have to fall into the Skywalker saga. They really don't.
That is correct.
So yeah, no, where they go, I don't know. I just know that they did such a fantastic job translating George R.R. Martin's world into film with Game of Thrones. I'm a little iffy about how they did last season, but I feel like they're kind of in a rush to get to the end, and there's only 6 episodes. We do know that Game of Thrones is coming out in April, so can't wait. But that is neither here nor there. Anything else? Oh, and that also means that there's no Star Wars movie in 2020. So if you're getting Star Wars movie overload, you get a year break after the next year.
Oh, we had a year break this year as well.
Yeah, but we had TV shows.
Yeah, I've been watching The Resistance. I'd watched two episodes today, so all caught up again now.
Yep, and then we're going to get season 7 of the Clone Wars. I need to start picking that up. I've been looking at the laborious tome of, if you want to watch the story in chronological order, how to watch it. And I'm like, this seems like more work than it might be worth, but I do kind of want to go back and watch all of that.
Yeah, it's worth it.
All right, so I think that's all the Star Wars and X-Wing related news that we've got. We're going to go ahead and take a break, quote unquote, for the audio clippings, and then we will move on to the main topic, which is our year in review, X-Wing, Star Wars, gaming, and otherwise. So all of that's coming up right after this. All right, we're back, and in the main topic, we're kind of free bloat this one on the live stream, and talk about the year in review in X-Wing. So obviously, we need to kind of start where first edition dies and second edition ends. I don't see anything reason to go anything into first edition prior to that. To be perfectly honest with you, the game had bloated to the point that the developers knew that a change had to happen. So we had an earth-shattering in development when they just flat out announced, hey, by the way, first edition's gone, second edition's coming. Here's how the conversion kits are going to be done. Here's how you're going to convert to the game of second edition. I do remember some of the lamenting that was done whenever the conversion kits were announced. What do you mean I need to spend $50 to fly my ships again? But that's the only really way they could have done it, to be perfectly honest with you. You had one way, there's two ways they could have done it. This was obviously the best way to do it so that everyone can still maintain their plastic and just needed a cardboard updates. I applaud the way that they've done it. And so far, so good as far as I'm concerned. We've not seen a points adjustment yet, so I can't pass judgment on that one yet, but I love the fact that it is available. Yes, the app failed when it first came out, but they fixed that basically right away.
So I have to be honest, because I'm not playing in any big events or anything like that. I use the app for my squad building. All of my list building's done in the app. I've not really used Yasby at all. I think I used it for the first time I played Kylo because the app hadn't updated yet, but they put the points out. So I used Yasby for a week, and then once it actually dropped officially, then I went back to using the app. And Yasby's great. If I was going to more tournaments, I'd be using the export function a lot more. But because I don't need that, I really like the printouts for the official app. I think it's a lot cleaner, so I just use those.
And for those who don't know, that is yet another squad builder.
Yeah.
Just from I've never actually heard it called that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think whoever's making that's going to have an interesting, life, because they're going to probably make a lot of changes throughout the year, not only just adding stuff, but with the point changes and everything else that'll come through as time goes on. There'll be some maintenance definitely to that app.
Well, you can take direct exports out and just import them into another product that I know FFG remains nameless, Vassal. You can literally build your squads in there and then import them directly into Vassal and test your games online. I think just the way that all the integration happened. The only thing I can say that I do miss, because I am who I am and I'm the competitive guy that I am, was that List Juggler kind of went away.
List Fortress is replacing it. I'm pretty sure we mentioned this on a couple of shows ago.
If we did, I wasn't paying attention, which would not surprise me.
Sounds about right. Yeah, so there is something. We'll be fine. But yeah, there you go.
So shout out to Tara. She did mention something. It's strange to have people complain about conversion kits when other miniature games just don't do it. Yeah. They just do up. And that was kind of the argument that I made as well at the time. Like, have you ever played a Games Workshop game? Have you ever bought models that all of a sudden you can't use anymore? It happens all the time. And whenever they did it, they're like, oh, here's a rule book. It's $50. Oh, wait, you want to play that army? That's $40. And then you haven't even bought, oh, you need to go and get the starter kits and all. Oh, that's a ton of money that you need to shell out to upgrade to a new edition. So in the end, I really felt like they did it the most cost-effective way they could have possibly done.
Yeah,
I agree.
You're always going to get people who don't want to do anything or pay money to play with toys I've already paid for. Well, you don't have to. You can keep playing first edition if you really want to. There's so many different... I don't know. You can't please everybody, and at least they tried. Or maybe they shouldn't have. I don't know. I was happy. Even if it did... I was really happy because I'm like, good, I'm going to go down to just being an Imperial player. And I own all 5 conversion kits.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, whatever, Chris. Well done.
Well, the
nice
second...
try.
the sickness is real. So
They don't call this
Yeah.
plastic crack for no reason. There's a solid reason behind it.
Yeah, I don't. It's a hard one. I'm definitely all in still. So
Still all the
yeah,
All right, so moving on through the rest of that, that's so second edition's announcement kind of spawned this funny little idea. Chris, you were there when they were announcing second edition, and of course you're IMing us on Facebook going, hey guys, how much fun would it be if we just kind of got together and did like an old Nova Squadron radio show, just kind of pretend like nothing happened and just second edition was announced and just kind of had a joke kind of fun show. We legitimately thought it was going to be a one-off, kind of do it once and that was it.
yeah.
And 14 episodes later, here we are.
We had an episode 0 as well. Remember?
Okay, so 15
Yeah.
episodes later, and then of course we
You
had a
can't
lack
count.
of focus. Well, we had a lack of focus too. That like was supposed to be 30 minutes that we droned on for 2 hours.
yeah, well, the In Focus episode.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's another interesting thing is spawning the In Focus because it's our way of just kind of not taking the world so seriously, but yet it ends up being an extremely serious conversation.
Well, one of the things
Pretty
I like.
cool.
First of all, I need to kind of spit out. I love the fact that it's brought the four of us back together. One of the things that I missed over that time frame of not doing the old show was hanging out with you guys every Thursday night, chatting about a game, a little plastic spaceship game, but mostly it was about getting together and hanging out with friends. And that's something that we lost when the show went away. So when we started doing that again, it just felt natural. It felt comforting to be able to hang out with you guys all together. I enjoy talking to all of you. So this was it was huge, and it was just a natural transition. Yeah, we should keep doing that. Absolutely. And here we are still doing it at the end of 2018.
And we got a lot of fan response too. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's been really interesting to see how we're growing again and where we picked up from and stuff like that. It's pretty good stuff. Like we are definitely still a small podcast for the X-Wing community now, but considering we don't actually advertise ourselves at all because I'm terrible, and Ed did say he would help and do the posts on the forums, and I don't think he's ever done one. And
Not a one. I meant to do it.
no,
I had
I'm not.
good intentions.
If I could, I would have done it
Shame.
myself. But yeah, I just doing our thing, and you guys listen or you don't, and hopefully you enjoy what we do. It's good fun. I definitely didn't think we'd start up again. I thought I could herd some cats together to get a joke Nova reunion show type thing done. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it still. I'm pretty proud of the fact that we've done an episode every 2 weeks. Even the one where we missed, we had backup plans in place, and then we were committed enough to do a recording last week and a recording
And
today.
this week to stay on schedule.
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud of you all.
It's not work. It's not. It really
Yeah.
is. Again, I'm going to try not to get teary during the course of it. I love hanging out with you guys. I love just chatting games with you guys. Even like the off comment stuff that we have, or Chris or Sean and I are talking about our Magic decks on Arena, which has nothing to do with in here. Just even after the show ended, we all still stayed in touch. We all still texted each other. We were all still on Facebook with each other. It's just this is how we do things. It's actually only weird when I think about the fact that I've only ever actually met Sean in person one time at Worlds. And Chris, you're like right up there next. I think we've hung out a couple of times at Nova and Worlds, and so this is how we interact, though. And this is my Chad I see all the time.
really?
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you were doing on Sunday if you wanted to watch the Steelers game. I was going to ask you that later.
Why
Yeah,
punish yourself?
I was gonna say, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you see me all the time, man. You hardly show up to the game store. You don't invite me over to play anymore. I'm like, come on.
It's funny you should mention that. I was going to mention it off camera, but I think my wife is intending to take the kids to Philadelphia, which means I'm going to be home alone for a weekend.
All right, hookers and blow.
I was thinking
okay.
X-Wing and beer.
I was
whatever.
thinking we could finally get a stream game on. We can play on Vassal and
Ooh, we can do that too.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
yeah. We can do some more in focus content.
There we
Oh,
go.
oh yeah, so that was the other tangent I wanted to go off on was the in focus. So one of the restrictions that we had with the old show was, and it always happened. I swear that OP was on our clock and said, "Okay, so they're going to release an episode on Thursday. We're going to announce something on Friday." So we would be talking about something, and then they would announce something right after the show recorded, and we wouldn't be able to react to that until 2 weeks later, which is why I love the little, hey, we're just going to get together and talk for 25 minutes about this or that or other things. I love that little format change and how we did that.
Yeah. It's really good fun. I wish I was more available. My evenings have been super busy, and like it's strange for it to be me, the one who like last time when we couldn't record, I just couldn't do it. Working in the store and having a baby and doing all of that, it's just been so hard. But we've kept these Thursday nights, or Saturday mornings, or Sunday evenings, or
We've done some
we're
weird
bending
schedules.
over backwards to make this happen. So that's really, really good.
Yes,
Terry
we are.
gets it.
We are the Mobile Day podcast. Thursday's our night. How about Saturday this week? How about Sunday? Yeah.
I'm sick, so we're going to have to do it next week. Yeah, we've done all of that.
Yep, exactly.
It's one of those things that, and I remember when we started the old show, it's like, oh, this sounds like a great idea. And then you get committed to it, and then you have fans that are depending on the show that are, hey, this is kind of their every 2 week kind of thing. And if you fail that, that's where you really begin to fail the fans, and you really begin to fail the people that support your show. So you have that pressure of commitment of, I need to get on, whether I feel like talking about X-Wing that night or not, or whether I feel well that night or not. We just kind of got to push through. So there is some work to it. So we have found our ways to muscle the way through. It doesn't
You should
hurt.
have gone to tournaments like I did. Then you'd have really felt the pressure of, putting out the good content and things of that nature.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because we've got New Year's resolutions coming out too.
Oh yeah.
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 Mhm.
Although the one area we never were really huge in, I would like to see Lack of Focus get really huge in, the Amish community.
Good luck with that one. Let me know how that goes. Let me know how that. You can launch the ad campaign for that one. All right. Let me know how that goes.
I don't know if we're going to make it. We don't have enough math in our show.
Well, we can always get some guests on.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say we could probably easily fix that.
I
Let's
do
try
some.
not
I
to.
do math. It's okay. I did
Very-
math
very
last
little.
time.
Ed's horrible at math. Don't ask him.
Yeah. No, I'm actually like shockingly surprised at how bad I used to be able to do math in my head so quickly, and now all of a sudden this old brain starts slowing down, and you're like, wait, what is that again?
So you need to learn your Common Core or whatever it is that how you guys teach mathematics now.
Oh my God, if you want to go completely off topic for a
I'm
moment,
just
I don't
gonna
understand.
throw that softball out there, see who knocks
I
it
don't know
out.
how they're teaching kids math. It's horrifying, actually. So when my 10-year-old daughter says, I don't understand this, and I'm like, I'm good at math, I can help you, and I'm looking at that dumbfounded, like, I don't understand what they're talking about. I honestly feel like they need to teach the parents how to do the math before they teach the kids.
See,
so that
all
we
we're
can
doing
help.
is breaking it down into easily manageable chunks of numbers and then multiplying
That's
all of
not how
those
math.
together.
That's not how math works. Like they're going to get to the levels of like junior high school or in high school and not know how to do math, and I don't understand that.
Oh, you're such a crotchety old man. They're just not
I
going to know
must
how to
be.
do math the same way you used to.
At what point in time did memorizing your multiplication table become an issue? Like, I don't get that. Like, it
Okay.
becomes automatic.
So if you teach a parrot its multiplication tables, does that make it good at math?
Yes.
See, you've got to teach understanding, Ed. That's what we're doing for kids these days.
For those who are new to the show, that's why we call this lack of focus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could go off on tangents that way.
Kids today don't have to learn math because, as your math teacher told you, someday you're going to need to know math, and you're not going to have a calculator handy, or
Yeah, you're never going to have a device in your pocket that can answer those questions for you.
and do the math for you.
Anyway, okay, so we've gotten to the
Year
point
in review.
Year in review.
Year
So
in
let's kind of talk
review.
some X-Wing. We had some interesting announcements. So we went from a game at the time of the end of first edition where we had 3 factions in the game: Imperial, Rebel, and Scum, and all was right with the world. But when they announced second edition, they split the factions of the Resistance and the First Order off into their own, and that's interesting. Now we have 5 factions, and then shortly thereafter, they announced that they're going to do Clone Wars, and now all of a sudden we've got 7 factions that are in the game. So by February of next year, we are going to have 7 factions in a game that started off with 2. So that is something I was really kind of hoping. I remember whenever they released some of the first Resistance and First Order stuff originally, they had different symbols, and I'm like, oh, are they their own faction? Well, no, they kind of fall into Rebels, and it always seemed kind of weird to see a T-70 with Poe flying right next to Luke Skywalker and a T-65, or flying Kylo Ren with Darth Vader as a crew. Like, that was always kind of weird for me, so it does kind of balance out the eras of the game.
I do think the game's a lot better for it. There's a lot more scope for balance. The factions do feel different and unique. I'm pretty excited to see where we go after Wave 3 and what happens next.
Wave 4.
How they do, if they just go back and expand on them, if we're going to keep each faction relatively small and like add Mandalorians or something like that as a faction, if how it's going to be approached. I feel like it being the way it is, where you have 7 factions now, the balancing issues are easier. There's still going to be issues, but I feel like it's going to be easier for them to correct, especially with the announcements that followed that, where you had the hyperspace format was going to be a thing, 2 different tracks to worlds, the points in the app being separated, there'd be no points cost on the physical cards, the upgrades not being on the cards, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was a huge titanic shift on the game design. And it was interesting to hear guys like Alex Davey and Frank Brooks sit down and talk about, like, they had run out of room in design space with what they could really do with the game, which is really, in the end, the ultimate reason why the game needed an update. Not because if something were to be printed, let's take the Jumpmaster 5000, for example. If something were to be printed and it was clearly a mistake and too strong and went out into the meta and just dominated, they couldn't change anything. They couldn't change the points. They couldn't change the upgrades it could take. It really became very difficult for them to be able to do anything. Plus, they had some licensing issues whenever it came to changing text or anything like that on a card. So they shifted to a new design structure where changing points is easy. They just update the app and boom, the points are changed. Oh, we don't want that ship to be able to carry torpedoes anymore. Boom, now it can't. I think they went the right direction, and they definitely have extended the life of this game for years to come. Because not only originally when we were talking about this when it first came out, we were thinking about the 3 factions or the 5 factions at the time. But now if they continue to add more, like, I'm really kind of curious to see how far down that rabbit hole they dig. Are we going to be looking 3, 5, 6 years from now where we've got like 11 factions where it's like 40K style, like, oh, you can play Space Marines, or you could play Space Wolves, or you can play Orcs, or you run down, like, there's so many potential options for where you could go.
I think that's okay if they do. If they keep this game going and they scratch the itch of every kind of player out there, the player that wants Old Republic, the player that wants Clone Wars, the player, and I hope it expands to their other games too, the Legion and those types of games where you're getting multiple, because it allows, if you get sick of playing, part of the problem that you had in 1.0 is you had 3 factions and you had about 6, 7, 8 lists total if you're a competitive player, or a wide open game if you weren't competitive and got stomped every night against the competitive players. Today, though, there's some weakness in some of them right now, but as time goes on, if you get bored with Rebels, and that's what you started with, well, now you just go pick up, First Order and play First Order. And If you get tired of First Order, then you can go to whatever Clone Wars side you want, and so on and so forth. I think that that's going to be a really good thing for the game. I think that it's going to keep the game fresh for a lot of people. Yeah, I do understand that you're probably going to have to buy some ships. As the game goes on, the ships that you have today, there are probably going to be ships that in the 2.0 tournament scene aren't going to be in it. Potentially like E-wings and Hawks and things like that.
Anything that came out of the EU.
Correct. You're probably going to lose those, but that's okay because that's it's a miniatures hobby game. If you really, except we don't paint really, unless you really want to.
Unless you really want to.
But with that said, though, you're still you treat it like the miniatures hobby, where if you go and you do First Order, this year, and the next year you do whatever Wave 4 is, and keep going, the game will stay fresh. The biggest thing is life gets in the way of most people, playing games and doing things. Their, families, have a baby, changes everything, job changes, or, yeah.
4.
Yeah.
One and done.
One and done. You're not even a real parent to really have one. If you walk into a room and something's broken, you know who did it. It's not even fair.
As is evidenced by this stream, I don't need a safety net.
But at the end of the day, though, the key piece is X-Wing is fresh again. What they've done to the game has been, I think, really good. Putting the energy, to spend in some regen in that. I really enjoy the fact that they added the Jedi powers or the Force powers.
And I like the way that they did it.
Yes.
That was going to be one of the things I thought we could cover in the year thing. Is one change you really liked and one thing you really didn't like. Do you want to open that, Sean? So I'm assuming you'll pick one of those.
Yeah, I like the Jedi Power Edition for something that I like. I think that it's going to create a lot, especially as they go deeper into this game. What we have now is great because we have the Galactic Civil War time frame, so we know they're Jedi, we know what they do. What's going to happen if they go into an era or an era is created where there aren't Jedi, where there aren't a lot of Jedi. There's more of the Force sensitive type, characters that are out there. I think that'll be cool because it does still keep the avenue open for them. The one thing I don't like is I don't think they've totally fixed bombs yet. I think that there's still some issues with bombs. I think they're close. I think that the limiting, but there's still some issues that I feel that they could really prop up and do a little bit better with. But I really don't have complaints about 2.0. That my bomb complaint's just a minor one, and it's because anytime I ever play anybody who's playing bombs, I make it an absolute effort to go over every single friggin' bomb that's on the table without really trying.
Hit the pace car.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so if I were to pick two things, one that I liked and one that I didn't. So the thing I think I'm going to pick that I liked absolutely the most is the fact that there are no point costs or upgrades printed on the cards now. I love that. I love that it's possible for them to make a mistake, put a ship out into the game that is broken, and then it can be fixed, which is something we did not have access to before. So one of the things that pulled me over to X-Wing from Games Workshop and Warhammer 40K was the fact that the game was fair and balanced. And they cared about that balance in the game. But as the game got to get bigger and bigger and bigger, there were just certain things they just couldn't fix. And it really became blatantly evident towards the end of the life of First Edition. So I love the fact now that they have the ability to see an issue and correct it, but correct it so much that so it doesn't change the wording on the ship, but now it's twice as expensive as it was before, so not many people are going to fly it, or that upgrade doesn't make sense in that ship, or that ship should have had that upgrade. So like as the game developed from wave 1 into like wave 4 and wave 5, there were upgrades that didn't exist from in wave 1 that now exist in wave 7 and 8 that made sense to be on an X-Wing, for example. and now they can fix that. They can make those changes. So I love the flexibility that they've added in the game, the design space that they've added into the game. The one thing that I don't like, and I'm still kind of iffy and wishy-washy on this. This is like Sean's a minor complaint. I'm still not sure how I feel about the OP structure. Now they haven't actually officially run the season yet, and they haven't started it. So I'm only talking about this anecdotally and having not run through it. But there was a certain part of me that loved the way that the season was set up. That you started off at Stores Championships, which was at your local level. Then you moved on to regionals, which was a little bit bigger, and then you moved on to nationals, which was even bigger, and then to worlds. Now I understand the reasons why they did what they did. And ultimately, in the end, I feel that it is going to work to make Worlds an invitation only. But there was something special about Worlds. Having been able to go to one and having that as an open tournament and having all of the people that were there, it was fantastic. It was an amazing environment. And I think that's the one thing that I'm going to miss is that open feel for events like that. Now, you can still do opens the whole way through under the new structure, but to get to Worlds, to get your invite to Worlds, you need to win your way in. Ultimately, competitively, that's the right answer. It just feels a little bit different. And I'm off my soapbox.
Chad?
Oh, thing I like, thing I didn't like.
Yep.
I would have to say that I did. I do like how they've spread out to do good. I got the 7 factions now. I think that, like you guys said, thematically, Darth Vader and Kylo Ren flying together just didn't make sense. I mean, they don't exist at the same time and all that fun stuff. So seeing that actually, become their own things and then bringing in the 2 prequel factions, basically, wow. Good job, Chris. I do like that. My wallet's got a DNR on it with that, because it's just, yeah, it's going to be a killer on the wallet, but I do like seeing, they are opening it up and all that kind of stuff. Thing I don't like what they did to Phantoms. They're garbage now. And, yeah.
We all knew it.
So good. Phantoms are so strong.
Greatest thing that ever happened to X-Wing.
Phantoms are so good. Oh.
It's the one. So
they're different, but they are so good.
What part of the Phantom change is your least favorite? The fact that they lost the attack dice, or the fact that
it's the attack dice for Chad. I know it is. It's attack dice and advanced cloaking device.
Advanced cloaking device first, then the attack dice. I mean, to have a ship that weak, and they give it you were able to put advanced cloaking device on it, kind of let it last a little bit longer. But
what if I told you that Whisper just has 2 evade tokens and is immune to the damage that we shoot at her anyway?
Not always. Not the way I roll dice.
I knew I was gonna post in chat. I was pretty confident it was gonna be. I was undecided whether it was gonna be Phantoms or specifically Whisper.
Well, when he says Phantoms, he means Whisper. Oh, yeah. He doesn't fly any other ones other than Whispers.
I've never flown any other ones.
4 Sigmas is so good.
Whisper was my girl after Kath, and they took Kath away from me too.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, no.
You only get one, Chad. You can't steamroll in with like a million things you didn't like.
I might be Mormon now. You don't know that.
Oh dear. So mine's kind of a double-barreled, one or twofold, I should say.
You're yelling at me for taking 2.
No, mine is in the thing I like. I also dislike the implementation of it. So the charge tokens, I think it's a really good idea. That it makes it really clear what you've spent, what you haven't. I like the implementation of charges for abilities, for ordnance, for like the force charges count in the same way. The thing I don't necessarily like was on the upgrade cards that it's printed on how many. So I feel like there's balance. Being able to change the number of charges would have been an interesting way to balance, and they've spoiled me in that they've, given you the option to change upgrade slots and change points. if you feel like proton rockets, see what we're like with 2 charges. We can't do that now. We can only adjust the points for 1 charge. Like maybe dropping proton bombs down to 1 charge might have fixed them better than a points increase, because it makes a Punisher have to reload them after every one rather than getting a time in between and stuff like that. So I would have liked to have seen something like that, but that's why I say it's twofold or two-sided, that I really like that they exist. I would have liked it to not be printed on the upgrade cards how many charges it was.
So if you go down that rabbit hole, though, then you could start looking
definitely.
at things. You could start going down things like, well, the fact that the number of attack dice are printed on the card, or the number of evade dice, or hull, or shield. Like, you could really kind of go down like, well, okay, I have a card that says I have Darth Vader.
Yeah,
But
so I
none
think
of the statistics are printed on it.
I only mean on the upgrade cards for the number of charges that you get.
Oh, okay. So you're not talking like pilot specific.
No, I'm trying to think of a pilot who has a charge now. Wampa having 1
Iden.
charge, or Iden, that's fine, balance around that. But like, I would have liked to see the potential to bump up the number of charges certain missiles have if they're not being played. Give them an extra charge. You don't have to lower the cost, because having multiple knobs and dials you can turn works really well for pilots, in that you can add and remove upgrade slots as well as change the points. With the actual upgrades themselves, they only have the points.
Okay, that's a fair argument. I thought you were specifically talking like pilots and abilities like that too. But okay, I see where you're going. All right, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to review for 2018 before we get into New Year's resolutions?
Come on, anything from the viewers? Come on, ask your questions now. Mark says that I'm looking festive. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Gary sucks. She doesn't. Yeah, just.
All right, so we'll get into.
I do like how Terry agreed with me on the hookers and blow thing. They are cheaper than miniatures games.
Oh dear.
All right, so let's get into our.
You're playing the wrong miniatures games, or visiting the wrong hookers. I don't know.
So let's get into our gaming. It doesn't necessarily have to be X-Wing either. I mean, just our gaming New Year's resolutions. So this year, Chris, what is your gaming resolution for 2019?
So I'm looking at the board I've got behind my monitors, which has got like my work schedule of like commissions I've got to get done. And it's filled with stuff to paint for other people and not necessarily to do for myself. So I've been playing a lot more X-Wing since 2.0 came out. I think I've said before, I've played more 2.0 than I ever got. Like, at the rate I'm playing it, I will blow my first edition games out for water. But still, maybe making some time to get more stuff painted and games played for me. Song of Ice and Fire stuff I was talking about the other week is still sat behind me, still sealed. I want to do my unboxing videos for that so I can start playing that. I really want to play more games, and it's difficult. I don't work that many hours, but I feel like all of my time's taken up, and it's on stupid things like I'm playing in a D&D campaign. I play Arkham Horror, the card game, on the weeks that we're not recording. I play on the Wednesday. So I have a pretty full gaming schedule, so trying to fit those games in will be difficult, but I definitely want to play more A Song of Ice and Fire, and I definitely want to make sure I don't tail off and stop playing X-Wing. Maybe win an event as well, maybe. That'd be nice.
That is a good resolution. Sean, I'll kick it over to you. Your 2019 gaming resolution.
Well, for me, first things first, I have to get my back fixed. So
there is that.
That is a hampering thing. Having
especially when you're bending over a table for hours on end. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Having a vertebrae that's not attached is kind of difficult. So,
can hang you over the table, Mission Impossible style.
That wouldn't work either. Unfortunately, there's no solid help for this one. But after that's done though. So when I get back into it, number one is of course playing more X-Wing. Just I would like to you know, get into tournaments where I'm not focusing on running a tournament. I'm just there to play a tournament, and I can leave at any time. That'd just be an amazing feeling. So that's my first true resolution. The second one is I have an airbrush. I have a compressor, although I want to buy a different compressor. I have an airbrush, and I have just crap tons of paint sitting on a table that have been sitting there for 14 months, I think, somewhere in that range. 16 months, actually. And not one has been cracked. No paint has been poured into the airbrushes. So that's what I want to do is start figuring out how to paint. And that'll span out into more games. And like I have Legion, I want to paint all my Legion and then actually play Legion, which would be nice too. But that's, there are reasons why that won't happen for a while. But being able
Wait, you have miniatures to a game that you don't play? The hell you say?
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I've said every gamer ever.
Yeah, the thing is I'm not a big miniatures guy. I'm not a big miniatures player.
Weren't.
But yes, my dabbling in miniatures was, Warhammer Fantasy, and then I stopped playing it.
Man of taste.
Yeah. Actually, the
Breton taste, don't forget.
The Bretonians were so cool way back when you could make that line of all the knights and just kill everything. It was well worth it. But for nowadays,
for the win.
Yeah, for the win, yeah. But that doesn't happen anymore. So, I think the other thing is just being more consistent playing games. That's board games included. I have a gaming group that meets on most Wednesdays, and it's kind of hit and miss for me, similar to this show sometimes. Where right now, especially with my back, if I'm too sore, like where I can't even sit in a chair, or it's just lay down, get heating pad going, and popping Tylenol, that's all I can do. So maybe I'll figure out a rig to be able to, be like Chad and cast from my bed.
All right, Chad, your gaming New Year's resolution for 2019.
Let's see. I wouldn't mind winning some more tournaments. I do have that nice plaque on the wall out in my living room from the store championship I won. I wouldn't mind doing that again, possibly winning my way to Worlds this year. I'm sure we could probably get in on the press pass if we really, really wanted to go. But I would actually rather win my way there, make you guys jealous. You got to watch me play while you just get to, sit there. There's a lot of other things I would really, really like to do, but I know that's what Ed's going to be covering, so I won't steal that from him because
oddly enough, my gaming resolutions involve
is
you.
to play. That's your resolution, to play.
I don't want to step on your toes. I'll let you finish yours.
But no, I wouldn't mind getting back into D&D. I'd like to try and kill off all the characters in my campaign except for my son's pet, Chicken. That's the pet's name is Chicken. It's not an actual chicken. But I'll kill off everybody else except for Chicken because I like Chicken. He's cool.
That works. All right. Are you finished, sir?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. So my 2019 gaming resolution. So obviously, we've all kind of we've all got the same theme, I think. Obviously, I'd like to play more. So I look back on 2018, and 2018 was really kind of a crazy year for me, both personally, professionally, and gaming-wise. And one of the things that really took a backseat for quite some time was gaming. And it's one of the things that genuinely, truly brings happiness and joy to my life. I enjoy getting out to the old gaming store with comic books on the walls and rolling dice and hanging out with friends. But some of my best memories, gaming wise concerned, are the 7 in the morning, Chad showing up to my house with 5 people crammed into a van because we're driving to some store championship in Ohio that's 3 hours away. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, those trips were long, but to be able to get up and go to these game stores and roll dice with people you've never met before and hang out, and I miss that. It is a big part of me and who I am, and I've lost a lot of that over the last couple of years, and I want to gain that back. I need it, to be perfect. Like, I need to be able to have some fun in my life, and this is kind of how I do that. So one of my New Year's resolutions is to get out and play X-Wing, whether it be at a store, whether it be at a hyperspace event, whatever it is to get out and play and have some fun and do that.
You should play more D&D.
How close are you guys to North Carolina?
So we've
a few states away.
Yeah, that's a few. That's North Carolina is like about I want to say an 8-hour trip, 8 to 10.
I think it's 5 to 7.
The Crates have got their event in March. They're doing like a Crate Cup fun event, and I've got the go ahead to be able to go to that, and because flights are pretty cheap. First weekend in March. And just
we'll have to look into that.
Yes. Get us more information on this.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and look. Yeah, send that in the. My second resolution is Chad is sort of alluding to. One of the things that I asked Santa for this year was Curse of Strahd, which is a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons adventure that is based in my absolute second favorite realm in Dungeons and Dragons, which was Ravenloft, which would mean that we'd actually have to start playing Dungeons and Dragons again. So I'd like to get back to setting up a semi-regular every 2-week kind of on a Saturday and just do those things where we're blowing for 6 hours of just playing D&D around the table. And now that I've got, my kids involved and, obviously Chad, your son, Josh comes over, Linda comes over, maybe my cousin Ryan shows up and we're playing D&D. It's just one of those things. It's just playing more games is really what it is. I have all of this stuff sitting here.
I bring my box, my paper box of miniatures over.
Oh yeah, because you've gotten some new ones too.
Like the boxes you get like reams of paper in. I've got one of those that's like pretty much full of D&D minis.
Yeah. The old school 3.5 D&D minis too. The ones that are like super expensive. Although the new ones
still make them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the new ones are a little bit different, though. But yeah, so those are probably my 2 biggest ones. I'd like to get a D&D campaign. I'd love to run Curse of Strahd from beginning to end. I'd like to get to the end of it, and I would.
No one gets to the end of Curse of Strahd.
Well, I'm told that it is more of an open campaign, which works best for my players because the best laid plans that I've ever had, they always tear asunder.
So
I can't imagine anyone that would do that. Chad.
The best thing about Strahd is that at any point you can just come down and go, nah.
It's Strahd, that's why.
Swap them around a little bit and be like, oh, you thought you were doing well? Nah. The best description I've had of that is you've got to level up your characters quietly. You don't want Strahd to ever notice that you're there, because the second he does, if you're not already like 20th level, it's just going to come and just face roll you.
I take it you haven't played it yet?
No, I've not done Strahd. I don't even know if we're doing a module or not. We'll do an in focus on it at some point and just chat some role playing games and stuff, because my character's awesome. So no, I'll not do too many spoilers for when we do that show, but I spent a good half hour on Monday describing how my character, she's a reporter, so I needed to pick a class, so I'm like a fighter, and it says on my character sheet that I'm super lawful good.
Super lawful good.
And I spent half an hour describing how I was Mr. Blonding some guy we captured and cutting his ear off, and walking around his cell asking if he could hear me now. Super lawful good. It's on my character sheet, so it must be true because my character would never lie. Super lawful good.
That's awesome. So yeah, those are the two things I want to do. Like I've already started one of the things. My dad and my son and I have started playing Guild Wars 2. We kind of do it every other Sunday. Just kind of hop online and hop on Discord. Yeah, I was going to mention that, Chad. I went to visit my dad. He was talking about, oh man, I remember when we used to play Guild Wars. I'm like, well, Guild Wars 2 is free to play now, right? And that kind of started a ball rolling. If you're interested, let me know.
Well, that would have been nice to have known back when you first started.
Well, we've only done one session, so
okay.
I'm not that far behind. So I don't know.
It's a Dice 8 Discord that's got a voice channel in it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I'll have to send you all invites to it. There's like 6 people on there who ask a question, and I see it like 3 months later and just apologise for not answering it. I'm the worst at this ever.
Gabe has his own Discord one that he talks to all his friends for his, CSGO, whatever other games he's playing on the computer kind of thing. So that's what we hopped on. But I think this week my dad intends to bring his laptop up and play here. But long story short, Guild Wars 2 is free to play. It is a free account. If you're interested, Chad, let me know. And maybe we can pull you into the Guild Wars, the every other week Guild Wars group.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested, we're going to play.
We used to do the first one all the time.
We're probably going to play on Sunday and then hang out and watch the football game after. If you're interested, just throw it out there.
Tell Gabe I said that sounds very potato.
Very. That is a way inside joke. Holy cow. So yeah, those are my resolutions. You've got life, you've got real life things that come up. You've got to go to work, you've got to help the kids with the math homework, and you've got to get them to karate practice or wherever, and you've got to pay bills and you've got to do all that. But like there is a part of me that just kind of needs all of that little things to kind of help keep me in a happy state. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my resolution for 2019, is to try to be happy in gaming.
Okay.
I think that's it. That's a good solid one. I did not see any questions in the old Facebook feed here. Not a thing. That's okay.
We've got the giveaway to do, so we can close with that.
We can close with that. All right, so Chris, that's where I'll let you take over, because you actually have merchandise to give away.
Do you want to close out, and we'll stop that bit, and then?
Oh, okay, that's right. I totally forgot we have an audio group that we're actually going to introduce this to as well. So that's going to do it for the main topic. We're going to move on to close out the show right after this. All right, we're back, and we're going to close out the show for the 2018 live Christmas special. This has been oodles of fun. We did have some pitfalls that we fell into, but
definitely not a train wreck.
Definitely not a train wreck. Definitely not. But this was oodles of fun. So, of course, I do want to say thank you for everyone for joining us, both on the live feed and, of course, those of you that decided to listen at home or on YouTube. First of all, Sean, always good to talk to you, my friend.
Yep, good to be here, and everybody have a safe and Merry Christmas. And I don't think we'll talk on the chat, but probably not on this. So have a great and safe and semi-sober New Year's at the same time. And
semi-sober sounds about right.
Yeah, and then we'll get this started for 2019, and we'll hit the ball, hit the ground running, and really. Really start talking some Super X-Wing, because we can start looking at, the road to Worlds. I think that should be, a focus for us in the future, is a road to Worlds. How do people get to Worlds this year?
I absolutely agree with that 100%. And as a side note, you and I are going to be doing, hopefully this weekend, we're going to try to do a live game of Magic the Gathering Arena. For those who are interested, I'll post that on my YouTube channel. Sean has challenged me with his Vicious Vampire deck, and I will try to meet that challenge. But that's neither here nor there.
Yep, exactly.
Chad, always good to talk to you, my friend.
Always good to be here. Thanks to all the fans. Obviously, we've got extra ones watching on Facebook Live tonight. But everybody else who's watching on YouTube, listening to the podcast, wherever you may listen to it, thank you for listening. Don't forget, like I said, obviously, those who are watching us on Facebook Live, about the Lack of Focus Facebook page. We also, would like to hear from everybody, send us your questions, all that kind of stuff. If you want, email them to lackoffocuspodcast@gmail.com. we'd love to hear some suggestions, maybe see some list ideas that you want reviewed, things of that nature, so email us there.
Let us know what you thought of the live show too. And obviously, if you're hearing about this post case and go, "Oh, I'd love to have caught that," let us know, because we are kind of semi-debating doing this as a live show from this point forward. I don't know how well that'll work out, but
yeah,
maybe a little more practice.
Maybe practice makes perfect.
What I might do, I need to check Patreon to see if we can just live stream it to Patreon. So I thought that would be pretty cool if we were going to do every show that way.
Live stream to Patreon and then release on YouTube for
So
and speaking of YouTube, the Dice 8 page where you can watch us and everything. So do that.
Like, comment,
Audio
subscribe.
formats were everywhere.
So I did have one point on this, Chad. I had a follow up. So we got the first thumbs down for our last show. I've not had a dislike for quite a while, and I have no problem with. I would just love feedback. If you hate us, just tell us why.
So we can improve upon it.
Yeah,
I mean, we would rather you like it, but share and comment and all that kind of stuff. Definitely comment. If you had a problem with Ed, let us know.
Why is it always my fault?
Why? Why not?
See, we went too political. That was all. That was it.
It was Ed.
Whoa! Wait a minute. There was a show that I wasn't on that got a thumbs down.
None of the shows you've been on, Sean, have any dislikes.
That's like so counterintuitive to the old show.
So clearly that's the problem, Sean. We need to make sure that we have some type of hyperbaric chamber that we have you in so that you're perfectly healthy for the recording.
And I want to just stress, obviously, I have no problem with there being a dislike on the video. I don't care. Obviously, I would love it if everybody liked everything I did and that we did as a group as well. It was just, if there is anything you don't like, let us know. We're not saying we'll change it, but we'll at least listen to you.
Yeah, we're open to suggestions.
Yep, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We say that for a reason.
Yeah, it does amazing things for analytics.
Yeah. Of course, we're everywhere for audio format. I mean, you listen to podcasts somewhere, we're there. And lastly, but not least, let's not forget, you like great content and everything like this. I mean, it would really, really help out if you went to patreon.com/lackofocus. Maybe chip in $1 here or there. I mean, it would greatly help out that guy up in the north and the one with the Santa Claus hat. And,
the jolly guy with the red hat. It'll help him. That guy.
Yeah, that guy. It would really, really help out. I mean, he kind of foots the bill for all this stuff, and we're all grateful that he does. Because he's doing it, you get to see all of our smiling faces on YouTube. You get to hear all of our voices on your audio, podcasts. Show him you appreciate him. Like I said, like $1 if you want. If you want to do $10, that's great. If you donate $100 an episode, we'll send Ed to your house to play an actual game for once. I mean,
Vassal games may count. Vassal games may count. Dramatization.
I'm trying to help you out. If I pimp Ed out like this, I mean, they'll be dropping mad money on there just to see him play an actual game.
The idea that I'm your whore just makes you feel mildly uncomfortable. I just want to throw that out there.
Always
okay, I'll put it this way: if you pay $1 an episode, but are willing to cover the Earther, I will come and play a game with you. That's fine.
All right, Chris,
so one thing I did want to stress again, especially this time of year when money gets tight, if you do follow anyone on Patreon, we do have it set up as a per episode, so make sure if you have a monthly limit, you do set that monthly limit. Only give within your means. We as much as it does all really, really help out, and I enjoy not losing money every month, I'd much rather you guys were able to spend it on Christmas and stuff like that. So make sure you set an appropriate limit and stick within it.
Make sure you can afford your miniatures games or Hookers and Blow, whichever is your preference.
That should have been the title of the show. Just so that I think it's the third time you squeezed that one in.
Oh dear.
That's the next episode.
This is what happens when I say we're going out live and I can't save them from themselves.
That's right. That's absolutely right. All right, Chris. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. I was hoping it would go a little bit smoother, but probably was naive in that thought. But I believe you got a D6 for us earlier. So
right here, ready and waiting.
So we do have a giveaway to our super awesome patrons. We were going to give away the Mining Guild tie. Still sealed and everything. I could do some ASMR. Oh, yeah.
Please don't. Oh God, no.
some ASMR Mining Guild TIE Fighters.
Those videos get like hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
This is what we're doing. We're not whispering the podcast.
Oh,
Genius
that's what we
play.
Should be doing.
Yeah, if you.
There's an idea.
That's why there's a dislike, because we didn't whisper, Chris.
Yeah, probably. So if we remove all of the people who aren't eligible, so like us, from the we're left with, we only need a D6 for our patrons, and if you want to roll it, I will tell you who wins.
Do you have the numbers already established?
I do.
He's gonna roll low because it's Ed.
Haha, it's a 4. I rolled average.
1, 2, 3, 4. Ronnie Hergert. I believe he won last time as well. Ronnie is a lucky guy. Wins
He's getting
the Mining
all the
Guild
second
TIE
edition
Fighter.
stuff.
Yeah. I can't remember what we gave away. I don't know. I
Did we
don't
give the
remember.
Mining Guild tie again?
No, it was. I can't remember. I'm sure we did a giveaway. Was it? No, it was the old Lando, wasn't it?
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ronnie won the Lando as well. Well done, Ronnie. You are awesome. Thank you for your continued support. And thanks to all of the other patrons. As I say, you do help cover the cost of not only like hosting it on Podbean, hosting it on what's the other one? SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, that one.
Yeah, that one. SoundCloud, Podbean, all cost money. The software I use for trying to edit all of this garbage together into a usable format. Like, you've seen how bad it is now that you got to watch a live show.
Yeah, you get to look behind the curtain and see how the magic that he works on the audio side.
Yeah. With Dropbox, so Ed can send me his audio. That costs money and stuff. Just all Dropbox was full as well, Ed. I filled my full terabyte, so I had to delete a lot of stuff. So I figured we didn't need Nova Squadron Radio episodes from when I was editing those from like 2017. So
I think you're good with that.
But yeah, it's all a really big help. I'm terrible at doing this part of the show because I feel really guilty asking people for money for this when we enjoy doing it so much, but it does really help. So thanks everyone, genuinely. I've purposely not set it up that we guarantee people stuff, but we'll try and do giveaways like this every once in a while, and whenever we do get some cool promo stuff made, we'll send it out to everybody. So thanks again, and echo what Sean, Ed, and Chad have said. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, all of it. It's whatever you want to do. This is should be a happy time of year. So just try and enjoy it. If it isn't, shoot us an email and I'll do what you can to cheer you up. We're always here as well, you know.
We're always here. We're always here.
Got no other place to go.
All right, so that is going to do it for episode 14. Thank you so much for joining us. If you were kind enough to suffer through the live show, we appreciate your indulgence. If you are seeing this on YouTube, next time catch it live if you want to see all the fun stuff. And of course, if you're listening to the audio format, you don't get to see Chad's haircut. You missed all the cool stuff on YouTube if you really want to go for it that way.
Christmas hats.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wearing a Christmas. It was either the Christmas. I don't know. It's not a. What is this I'm thinking? It's a headband that I'm wearing. That my daughter. It was either this or the pink Santa hat. One of the two was going to be the one that I was going to be wearing. So again, thanks everyone.
Right answer.
I do want to echo everyone else's thought. Happy holidays. I do hope you're having a wonderful 2018, and then moving into 2019. I hope all your dice roll hits and crits. Try that one for a while.
Unless you're playing against us.
Right, unless you're playing against us, then they have to roll blanks. That's how it has to work.
We need that much help.
Yeah, we do, especially me. Oh wait, I thought you were going to say something. I apologize.
No, I was just agreeing that is a fair assumption. That the only way we win is if you are bad at rolling dice.
All right. So again, thank you everyone for joining the show. We will see you in the next episode, which won't come out until 2019, and we will be starting our path into competitive play. Looking forward to that. So until next episode, guys, fly casual. Thank you once again for joining the Lack of Focus X-Wing podcast. Check out Dice Hate Productions for all of the latest episodes, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again next episode.